Why would the three top chip companies in the US want to team up and convince the government to ease restrictions on Chinese chips? Please be the insight you need. I'm Olivia. According to a Reuters report, the CEOs of Intel, Nvidia, and Qualcomm recently met top US government officials to try and persuade them to loosen open rules for exporting chips to China. One reason for their push is the recent decline in their financial performances. For example, Intel suffered a net loss of $2.8 billion in the first quarter of 2023, with a 36% drop in revenue compared to last year. Similarly, Qualcomm saw a 17% fall in revenue and 42% decrease in net profit in the second quarter. With such clear data indications, these chip giants understand the negative impact of these US restrictions. They're worried that the continued restrictions will damage their ties with China, where their sales revenues are heavily relied on. For instance, Bloomberg reports that over 60% of Qualcomm's revenue comes from supplying components to Chinese smartphone manufacturers. China also makes up a quarter of Intel's total sales. Currently, Nvidia is selling advanced AI chips in China, but tighter export restrictions from the Biden administration may hinder this business. Data from China's customs authorities shows a 22.4% decrease in chip imports from the Chinese mainland to $162.6 billion in the first half of this year. Bloomberg reports that US chip manufacturers and equipment makers are hit hardest by these restrictions. Meanwhile, what has China been doing to cope with the chip restrictions imposed by America? They have been steadily increasing their domestic chip production capacity over the years. In 2022, the number of chips produced in China reached about 324.2 billion units, 30 times more compared to 18 years ago. This indicates a gradual move towards using equipment made in China for chips manufacturing. So, if the US keeps making it harder for China with their restrictions, it's not just the American chip companies that will suffer losses. In fact, it might even push China's semiconductor industry to grow faster. The choice is in their hands. If they choose to cooperate, we can have a win-win situation. But if not, well, I guess we'll have to wait and see how this plays out.